yeah, so for those who haven't been here and or need a refresher, we've got document with some notes and attendance. And if you want to put any topics you want to talk about, if not, this is going to be a very short meeting, which is fine by me. I think there was a few things that we talked about last month that we didn't have an answer to, so they're just on the agenda to chat about at this one. And the first one was the BP pay. We discussed that a little bit last month, but never came to like a full conclusion. So I'm not sure where there's any updates or what's going on there.
I missed the last meeting. What was the general?
I think it was related to, is it Kevin that was?
Yeah, we needed an update from Kevin, and
he was working on implementing the automatic feeds from the pay being based off the Oracle price feeds and automatically adjusting. So I can't remember.
This has been going on for almost a year.
I can't remember the last time we manually adjusted. I don't know. We've been pretty sideways probably since. So, that's the manual short-term fixes. But yeah, I think the status update was, where was the contract deployment and what was the ETA? I think, was it Jesse maybe even provided some light on maybe an issue that they found or were working on. So,
well, there is an audit that is occurring, or an audit that has occurred. There was problems that were found. I'm not sure that the resources have been available to fix the problems, but we were planning to do this deployment in coordination with enabling the new feature sets of Leap. So we're talking doing Leap on testnet here this week. And
do you still feel that they're pegged? There's no way we can, there's no rush, but I didn't realize that was hopefully getting rolled in.
Yeah, that was
maybe
the original plan.
Break it away. That's what I was saying. I don't think there's any reason to hold it up. Not with the promising news it sounds like we've got. So we can manually adjust and continue. We all love signing MSIGs.
So I know it's been over 2 months since we adjusted, but I think the last time we adjusted it was like 25 cents. And we're all of the Telos Foundation. I know that this doesn't really count to the BPs, but I just want to let y'all know that all the Telos Foundation employees have a 20-cent bottom. So for people that we sell or that we pay in Telos, we don't pay them any more Telos than 20 cents. So when the price goes below 20 cents, it is what it is. I would like to honor that same thing as far as the BPs are concerned.
I think it was defined.
That's up for debate.
I think it was
20
defined.
cents was the minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, it had a range, and I would assume probably the same range as there was a bottom and a top. At the time it was the top that was being argued that, how high can it go? But I do think that there was a bottom, 20 cents. I don't remember if that was the number or not, but
20 cents was the bottom. It was 28,800 per month at 20 cents.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So we're probably 5 cents away from that or so. Let me see if I can find that MSIG that I did.
I think it's about 8 to 10% underpaid right now.
Okay. We can always count on Brian.
Give it a month or two. We'll be down at that floor. Everybody
I'm counting my few Telos.
Hey guys, Jesse, I saw Jesse just joined.
Yeah, Jesse and I were in a TCD meeting, so we're here now.
Jesse, there was some question as to whether or not the problems that were found in the autopay, the Oracle contract for BP Pay have been resolved, and whether or not that was still in the works to be deployed the same time we do the feature activations in Leap.
I think the feature activations and the contracts, well, they're two separate things, right? And from what our testing has shown is we have to do the feature activations first,
Right.
which is the same order that EOS was doing theirs in. I feel like those features, I'm surprised that they have to be activated, at least from our testing, before you can deploy the system contract.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that is what it is. So we'll be doing the same sequence of features and then contracts. As far as the contracts go, no, they haven't really tested and integrated all that stuff yet. So
For the automated pay adjustment, right?
Yeah, there's we've been back and forth a bit with the devs. I think we're going to have to just do it ourselves. It was, I believe, Kevin from Telos Global had one of his devs doing it. I don't see Kevin on the call to discuss it, but yeah, he was doing it. There's been a lot of back and forth on how he approached it, and we'll probably be able to use some of what he did and just do it ourselves. Have one of the TCD devs implement it with hopefully using as much as we can of what's been done. But it's just not been done. We've been prioritizing the upgrade and lots of other stuff. So I feel like that'll probably be a follow-up to the contract upgrade, but we'll see. Depending on how time allows, we might be able to get that stuff included. But I think we're a month out on mainnet being upgraded, and probably, much sooner we'll be doing testnet. And I feel like however we upgrade testnet is exactly how we should upgrade mainnet. So if we don't get that stuff in like real soon and use it when we deploy testnet, we probably should just wait until we roll out to mainnet, the same thing we do on testnet, and then we'll come back again in the loop and we'll do that automated pay change on testnet and then roll that out to mainnet. So that would be my instinct. But it's hard to say until we've seen that code working somewhere.
So yeah, I'll go ahead, and I know testnet upgrade and all that's probably a second topic. I don't know where it's at on the list, but yes, I would probably say at this point we break the dependency between the two and go ahead and just press forward with activations and contracts and push that all the way through, and then we'll loop and do some manual MSIGs. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, my crystal ball does not make me feel like it's gonna be changing a lot. So we can probably just do manual activations. But for the testnet, is that the next topic, or should we just sounds like a good transition into that?
Yeah, and I believe that's scheduled for today. That was the plan, right? To upgrade testnet September 28th, which is today.
Yeah, I guess we had always shot for, yeah.
Today's the day for feature activations. And we were kind of waiting till we saw the contract successfully deploy on StageNet, which now we've seen that, and we know that we have to have the features activated for the contracts to be deployed. So I think at one point we talked about doing the contracts first. We now know that sequence is backwards. We're going to do it just like EOS did it, which is activations and then contracts. The one thing that I'll let JT chime in on is we are, because I had to go to that event in Harvard, I realized that 2.1 wasn't compatible and I was going to have to rebuild the entire testnet RPC. And I realized that like the day before I flew out of town for 4 nights. So that would be the only thing I would say let's not do the feature activation for, is that there really is only one testnet EVM RPC, and it's mine, and it's running 2.1. So JT was going to stand up a new one using Leap, and if that's not ready, we probably shouldn't kill the testnet, the EVM testnet RPC by doing feature activation. So
yeah, and I thought. Go ahead.
But I'll take the blame on that one for sure, because I didn't realize the the 2.1 limitation, so I lost a lot of time having to go back and resync. But I'm looking at it right now, and I do have EVM, the EVM plugin on this guy also, and I am like 52 million blocks away from having testnet indexed. So, I mean, maybe another day.
Is that with a full Hyperion, or is that just filtered for EVM?
No, that's just, well, no, that's full Hyperion from the EVM block forward.
Okay.
How about this? What, maybe we just wait another week on the feature activation, just delay it a week. I'll work on getting, I've got to build a new testnet Hyperion, and I talked to JT about maybe loading that Hyperion. So I can probably, sounds like I can probably grind through it in a week. Then at least we'll have a couple, and testnet should be happy to try to circle the wagons. I think most everybody's upgraded, or at least enough.
What do you not have that testnet Hyperion that you shared with me? Is that not healthy? Is that why?
It is healthy. It doesn't have EVM. That's what JT and I don't have that on, but I can.
Don't worry about EVM. We literally just need one. I mean, this is 1.0. 1.5 we actually have indexed and ready to go, and it's going to be a totally different stack. So,
well, that's what I've been kind of delaying and waiting on. Yeah. But I do have a testnet Hyperion. I don't have a full mainnet Hyperion, but yeah, I don't think delaying it a week is a problem.
We've only had one testnet EVM endpoint for a long time.
That's plenty for testnet.
Yeah, so let's just get one. I mean, if JT's 50 million blocks away, then you know.
So let's say maybe next Wednesday we just delay it a week and then try to circle everybody and say, hey, we're going to try to get
I think
together.
If everybody's ready except JT, and then JT says it's indexed tomorrow, yeah, we could do a multi-sig sooner.
Yeah,
we can. I'm just trying to give us a little time.
We could start the 24-hour clock today, right?
Sure.
No, well, what do you think, Michael? I guess I should listen to you.
Oh no, I mean, my opinion is, we're not in any great rush to activate the features. That's why I say is give it a day, let the indexing finish, make sure everything works fine, be able to go into the weekend, not have any great fears over our head, and then try to circle the wagons and say, hey, VPs on testnet, try to pay attention, make sure you really did all the upgrades, and the 15th or Wednesday, whatever that is, the 3rd, 4th, whatever, your shit gonna break if it hadn't been updated on testnet. And at least everybody has a little while, because I even forgot that we had kind of denoted today as the feature activation at 14.
Even though we talked about it on our recording on Monday.
Correct. I mean, shit, whatever. I mean, I'm fine for it. I write it off and I'm done with it. But yeah, as for trying to circle the wagons, and Ross has done a good job of getting everybody to update, and I think everybody but one was updated. So, but like I say, all right, cool. If we wait a little while, make sure the new EVM node works, syncs, everything's fine.
How does Monday work for everybody? I know we don't want to, we don't want to do it over a weekend, and we don't want to do it on a Friday. I don't know if we need to wait a full week from today.
That was the general idea. It's just avoiding the weekend.
I'm good with Monday.
Let's set it up for Monday, guys.
Just a random question here, but so what will happen to, the nodes that aren't upgraded when that activation is pushed through? Will they just become
both 2.1 nodes and 2.0 any nodes will ultimately freeze? They'll fork out, and only 3.1 leap nodes will continue going forward. Most critical at the BP level, but what we found, I forgot about that layer 2 ship node or whatever, right? Or snapshot nodes, but ultimately your node won't crash, it'll just stop. But if you forgot and have to replay,
yeah.
I think it's great if some people fork off and have a painful testnet experience so that they're serious about it for mainnet.
I guess I was hoping they'd be engaged enough to not. But
the testnet,
it's a good way to light the
ultimately the
fire,
testnet will keep running, right? The testnet will keep running. There's enough of us. If people fork off, you know, it's.
Oh, it's not about chain health. It's more about. Never mind.
I know, but like consider it creative destruction, right? Sometimes it's better to wake somebody up. And
you have no clue how many chains I've bricked over the years. I mean, I'm all about that.
Well, I'm not. Let's not brick the chain. I know that's a high. I know it's probably a high number, Michael.
Then you're not trying hard enough, then, my man.
Yeah, I'm saying if BPs get kicked, that's embarrassing for them, but they had all the reason and all the time, and we're even giving them more. So
what I would be more concerned about,
they should be kicked.
Yeah, what I would be more concerned about realistically is, I mean, the API or the state history nodes feeding Hyperion servers that are in the load balancer might not be updated, might fork out, and block explorers might show lagged information until somebody's alarm goes off. Those types of things. I mean, yeah, the chain's going to keep on ticking even if 1/3 of them aren't paying attention. But historically, that's what we kind of tend to see is, I forgot that node was feeding it, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why there's a dress rehearsal on testnet. So I think if we say that we're going to do it on Monday, then then people will know it's up, and we can, and they can understand that we mean it, and they can.
Yeah, no, I was just answering the question of what happens after the activation.
Yeah, they fork out, and it's embarrassing for them. But and if we haven't thought of everything that we need to think of and the TCD and whatnot, it's embarrassing for us. But I'm not worried about that. That's not going to happen.
We ran through all the system contract updates and activations and stuff on stage nets and stuff. So feel pretty good about that. Just kind of update everybody on that. DJ and I kind of broke a lot of things and reset the chain a couple of times, but it looks like that process is pretty smooth and repeatable.
Yeah, I don't want to brick our testnet, but I have no problem with forking off people who haven't engaged.
I've reset it once. I'll reset it again. I have no qualms.
Yeah, I mean, people are getting paid to do
and those
this.
who are getting forked off, if they're in the rotation, they will remain in the rotation. But Telos we have a way of kicking those people with an exit, right? Is that the?
Yeah, as long as the lib. No. As long as the lib keeps moving, actually, after about 2 hours, give or take, the contracts will boot them because. Okay. It's got that rotation schedule in there.
Once they miss 15% you miss 15% in any given schedule, they're automatically booted.
Cool.
Yeah, but the thing is that works really well when it's an individual error.
Yeah.
And I stop producing and then I fall off within 2 hours. If we have, over 1/3 of active
cascade
then the
lib of the chain.
Yeah, then the lib's gonna freeze and the system can't kick them if.
So I said, as long as the lib's moving, and that's two different issues. So for the most part, yeah. And I think we've confirmed 99%.
As long as we got 15.
But also on testnet, we have the ability, or Jesse and a few others have the ability to just select who the producers in the schedule are going to be.
As long as the lib is moving. Once the activation happens, that's what happened on Jungle and whatever.
We could decide. We could go run down the list of who's confirmed they're on sleep, and then we could vote them in, and then we could activate, and we could pause the rotation vote changes.
Yeah, or just rotate in one or two people who are going to fork off at the at a time, so that we control that. But they do get kicked off. I think that kind of preparation where we have our shit together, so doesn't get broken.
There's actually an API, and you can just go to the page on app.telos.net and just add. So you can just go down the list and add each of the people on leap. It'll just vote them.
That's what I do. until they fork off one at a time, and you know, add them every half hour, and you know, they'll fork off and at a predictable rate and get filled in by other people who can.
Yeah, it'll sort itself out. It rotates one person in per hour. So if we start off with a schedule post activation, then it'll just one at a time.
So that seems like a workable strategy for me, and anybody who's not taking, you know, there's like 20.
So Monday's the day. JT, you're confident you'll be indexed by then on testnet, and
I'd go ahead and I'd put the MSIG up today as soon as you can, so we can try to circle it around.
Yeah, that's really my next question. I guess the goal is to execute the MSIG on Monday. Good if we can start passing that around ahead of time. I'm going to be offline on Monday, but my team is going to be around, and we'll be, you know, Matthew and Denny are both going to be available.
Do we need an MSIG to do it on testnet?
Not on testnet.
Oh, good point. You do have the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so the question comes down to whether that's a good exercise for people signing those. But I think that
how dressy of a dress rehearsal do we want?
Yeah, I'd say we should. I mean, we saw. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't fight the MSIG battle if we don't have to be honest with you. I mean, we can plan and we can coordinate and we can do all of that, but I'd just say pull the trigger. We don't need to vet the MSIG, in my opinion.
Sometimes MSIGs don't quite go the way we think they're going to go, and
you're still doing the MSIG. You're just authorizing it with the EOSIO key. Don't do a global MSIG.
Yeah.
Still have to.
You're right.
I don't know. It may not have to be an MSIG, but I would do an MSIG. I would not say the 15 of 21 MSIG. Sorry, I clarify.
How about we do the MSIG and then we add EOSIO and we let people pretend like their approval matters, and then we just use EOSIO.
I think that's great. That's great. I think people are getting plenty of practices doing MSIGs.
That's what I was like, you really want to do that? That's fine, but I would not.
Be a good way for people to signal that they are ready. You know.
How about they sign the MSIGs on mainnet? That'd be a great start.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have a plan then.
Oh, we can bring that up too, Michael. That's a good point, because the MSIG list for mainnet is a little bit unwieldy right now, right? Because we've had some that got pulled back and like a couple that failed. Are there ones that we need to sign right now, Jesse? I think there's at least one.
There's a new one.
What new? How new? Like last night passed around new?
No.
I'll let Jesse answer it.
Yeah. So are we do we want to talk about Telos? Is that?
It's recorded, by the way.
That's fine. Just don't share it.
Nothing to hide.
Yeah, nothing necessarily to hide. It's just the code on the native side that does the balance query to see how much Telos to send to the EVM versus to native to split the staking rewards. There was an overflow in the math, and we don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but you know, poor integer math led to it thinking that the EVM should get all of the rewards. So for a period of time yesterday, the EVM got 100% of the staking rewards every 30 minutes. And then I believe what happened is the overflow went far enough that it got back and started sending him to native again overnight, at least in my time zone. And then again this morning, it went back to sending it all to the EVM. So the latest MSIG has what we believe will be the final fix, and we're working with our auditor to get their 100% buy-off as well. But I put it up anyway because we've generally reviewed it and you know, gotten thumbs up from them, but they're going through a more formal and rigorous process just to, you know, take the belt and suspenders approach. Since it already slipped through those cracks once, we're going to make sure it doesn't, you know, we don't have another thing slip through the cracks. But as I think I shared the link to the code if anybody's curious. exactly what the changes to the code. It's all there. But yeah, that multi-sig that's up should fix this, and we do need everybody to sign it. And I anticipate we will have the green light from Sentinel before we reach 15 of 21 and execute it. In any event, I'm about like 99.9% sure that it's going to behave properly, certainly more proper than the way it's behaving right now. So, and then once we get that certificate updated from Sentinel, we'll share that.
Can you remind us what the MSIG ID is on that one?
That's Telos Fix. Yeah, and that was as of this morning. If you signed the one last night, I canceled it and reissued it. So yes, please sign that. It's I believe pinned in the tech channel. And if you have any questions, we can answer them. Otherwise, we'll move on. And I do acknowledge that the payments that have gone out, as people have probably noticed in our community, were not exactly what somebody would expect. The EVM stakers got a little bonus for jumping in early on Telos. Not intentional, but that's what it is. But we'll get it fixed up and everything will be back on track. And we haven't really mentioned it, not necessarily trying to sweep it under the rug, but in the meantime, while EVM people might be getting more, I just don't want to create a rush to go there and do that, you know. I'm sure some people have noticed and maybe staked more over there, but that's why we just want to get it fixed and back on track. Move on.
People can go to the Telos fix proposal and vote it right now. I just did. It's 4 votes. No reason not to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no less broken. I mean, it's no more broken than it is right now, right? Unless somehow the auditor finds some extreme edge cases, it's the right fix for the problem.
The auditor is, you don't have to go into it, but it was already audited, so, and they didn't.
Yes, this did slip through the cracks, which is
yep, it happens.
A whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, if you guys can go sign, then it'll be done. Yeah, like Jesse says, we're not hiding anything, but there's also not really, we think this is going to be a very short duration, and there's not any real reason to shine a light on it either, right? It's just a bug, but we don't want to give people reason to, ape into that. I mean, unless we do, maybe we should announce it and see the TVL on EVM go up to,
I'd like to believe that the Telos TVL that we see, which has actually been quite successful, we're up for over 1 million Telos staked on the EVM without seeing that much come out of native, so it's net new stakers. I'd like to think that is organic and not because everybody knows there's a bug and it's getting way more than 13% APY on Telos. But again, it's not 13% APY. It's over 13% APY over like what, a 24-hour period, and even then, like overnight, it went back to splitting it properly and then came back this morning. So it's a short time period, and I just like to think that all the interest and all the TVL that we've seen show up on Telos is a result of.
I agree, and the best thing we can do is just resolve this as quickly as possible. So if everybody who's on, I'm looking at it right now. If everybody who's on here can go in and sign that thing, which shouldn't take very long, we can have it done. I'm gonna paste the link directly into the chat here, in fact.
We're up to 8, so it's working. All right, we can move on though. What else do we have on the agenda?
There really isn't anything on the agenda. We can talk a little bit about the BP compliance officer, but or if anyone else has anything they want to add.
Now that we got the contract squared away on StageNet, going to roll the test net, we're kind of hoping to ramp back up the TPS testing. So if anybody wants to jump back in on that and throw some hardware at it, come on in, and maybe we'll schedule a time where we can all pop some bottles and smash some nodes.
That would be super fun.
We did have pretty keen interest, at least in person. You know, those things can flounder immediately thereafter, but from the head of the MIT Blockchain Club, in participating in that and kind of being that independent third party.
Tell them to call me.
So we'll see. You know, we're kind of urgent. We want that, you know, benchmarking results done and released out in the wild. So we'll see how eager and ready they are to jump in with us. But yeah, I do think we should try to get the native benchmarks, you know, to stick, right? We got a really big number and then came to realize one of the 2 big blocks got forked. So if we can.
Ryan did it. It was Ryan's fault, for the record.
Yeah, Ryan forked it.
Yeah, it was this massive block that went down the line, and you were like 2 or 3 rotations after me, and ultimately the backlog. But it was funny. That's why it forked out like a. Anyway, just so you know, it was your node.
What caused that?
This is the
yeah. It was your StageNet, and it was intentionally because we were dragging our feet and we were doing some things to cause it. What caused it, Douglas? Ultimately, we kind of loaded things so heavy, but then we're kind of also trying to strangle things tight to funnel them in. And Ryan, I think, happens to be on the back side of that, where we would throw it onto that side of the world and go through Sphere in Australia and Ryan over there. And ultimately, once it made it into the slow part of the cycle, it was so big. I think he validated one and then gave up on the second one because it rolled back a substantial amount. Anyway, that's, I think, what I saw in the logs. But I'll always jokingly say that it was your node that forked it out. But it was crazy because you weren't even after me. You were a couple after me, and you forked all of us out.
Wow, that's bizarre.
I think that the lesson there is that we need probably really good hardware for all the validators.
Well, I mean, it was good hardware. What it did prove is, I mean, it really, that peering and dependency and timeouts and you know, when NodeOS made that adjustment to the person after you outweighs you all the time, that's when it really made this, if you can't get the dominoes to fall in the right order, the chain will fix itself. But ultimately what it did is it forked out a massive secondary block because the first one kind of lagged it down. So anyway, I only joke about Ryan. Thanks for participating.
Does it say how many transactions were in the block?
We're not talking about it publicly, but the one you signed said 0. that was the problem because it kicked out the other one. And then if you were anyway, best I can tell, that's what kind of happened. We didn't have a lot of BPs. We didn't have a great rotation. We intentionally stressed the hell out of that network, but it's been fun. We've learned a lot of things. We've passed a lot of things already back to the coalition, the dev team. 3.2 may actually have some cool features that were lessons learned or logs needed or things like that. So we've already had some success.
Well, I shouldn't have re-reg prodded onto the StageNet, is what you're saying.
Oh no, come join the fun. The whole reason I bring it up is we're about to kind of ramp that back up. It had kind of gone comatose a little bit because we were fighting the StageNet, prepping the contracts and everything. So that's okay. Now that everybody's kind of, let's fire them back up. But yeah, we had some pretty cool numbers, but the reason they forked out was because we ripple effect the chain is what I call it. It kind of went down the line.
One of the reasons that I think we should ultimately do record a period, on the a sustained period on the mainnet is, first of all, we don't need anybody else ahead of time to validate that it is done. It will be recorded on the mainnet, and anyone can validate that it was actually done and what the speed was. Second, we don't want to do a lot on it, but we are in a time where we can probably afford to do that since there's not a lot of transactions. The other thing is, I think it's pretty standard for most of us have our highest end hardware on the mainnet and not on testnet or stagenet or anything like that. I know we optimize for that, and so the actual numbers coming through would be expected to be somewhat higher on mainnet. No,
that's a valid theory, although you put the interwebs and you put more nodes out there, it exponentially dominoes, man. So trust me, I got a 12th gen i9 on a single server. I'll below that whatever number you think 7 12th gen i9s can do in the same config. It's just peering and the size of those blocks and right. So valid thought, yes, mainnet definitely is better than testnet. But as for StageNet, nah, JT had like an 11th gen. I've got a 12th gen.
I think we had the CPU that had the most raw power, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've got plenty enough oomph. I mean, and we're targeting them.
Okay, and we're only using specialized ones. Well, I think it would be, no random traffic.
For that reason, exactly. You're right. StageNet's going to suck. And I will say, I'm glad we're doing what we're doing because we're beating the crap out of it. We're trying it. We're missing the target so many times, but we're figuring out the right way to do it. So when we do decide we want to stamp it on mainnet, we won't have to spend 24 hours ripping the snot out of things. We'll be able to more effectively say, we think this is going to be the targeted attack and achieve those benchmarks without having to try like we are in StageNet.
And when we do it on mainnet, we do not want to knock down our mainnet for any time. We want to keep our 100% uptime record. But also it's important. So we should keep that in mind. Also, it's important. This is one of the reasons why it is important to actually do this on mainnet because we could set up an ideal StageNet, with no crosstalk and no, peering issues or anything. And that also wouldn't be a legit result. Ultimately, in the end, it is whatever we put on mainnet. That is the real result that we want to prove to people.
Correct, right? Correct. But like I say, I mean, what you find is like the layer 2s, and that's really what we're stumbling on now is like, even though we didn't record all of them into the chain as we wanted to, Hyperion dealt with it. I don't know if it just sloughed it off or if it actually dealt with it for your
that's Elasticsearch. It can handle that.
EVM did not. EVM blew up. It was too big. So
right. That's predictable though.
Well, he's fixed it and worked on it and whatever, but that's what we're still stress testing and kind of finding in StageNet at this point. So it's not as impactful like mainnet because testnet, we can't even really replicate it on testnet because it's nothing but taters for the most part. And will always be. So anyway, the whole point on that is what we can use is heavy hitting hardware, but it doesn't even have to be 12th gen i9s or data center servers, but cannons. And what it does, it just serializes and grinds out these transactions and then fires them at an API. And of course, those of us with server farms can give you some APIs, spin up some more, whatever. But a lot of it actually has to do with loading the cannon. So even if you don't have server hardware laying around or whatever, but you have a M1 with a Docker, whatever, I don't know, I'm not an Apple man, but do think about maybe next week joining the party. Maybe we'll schedule a time that works for everybody or most and see if we can line up some time to really smash the snot out of testnet. And anyway, so
I haven't spun up any cannons yet, so like that's easily able to do that.
We're mostly focusing on native right now, which is the Canon script, which in my opinion is a little bit easier. I don't know, Jesse might disagree, but you can kind of set some settings and let it go and it fires every 5 minutes. So if we can just kind of schedule a time, we should be able to benchmark pretty heavily the native transactions. We're still kind of waiting on some of the EVM, but you know, there's been so many other, I won't even call them dumpster fires, just fires.
And
Well,
so if we want to achieve like a constant thing, we need more cannons for sure, because we are not reaching. We have to configure because we weren't sending enough transactions to test it on a constant basis.
Yeah, when it starts really going through that whole delay and lag and cycle, and you know, I'm firing 10,000 at a time, but they're only kind of coming in smaller little batches, even though they should all be together. But and we saw the same thing on Jungle, and that's what I say. It was almost, there were only a half a dozen of us, but you know, you kind of had to have the stars align on the right BP and whatever, which we're more cattle herding it in to try to force what we want. But that's really where a lot more people can help out and doesn't need specialized hardware as much.
Yeah.
And will help out on native. And then EVM, like I say, hopefully we'll catch up on some benchmarking there.
We're learning a lot. We're learning a lot about what we can do. We are going to need more cannons. I think that's getting people involved. Yeah. Anything else to? Maybe we've covered this one to the extent we need to. Are there any other issues that?
That's the main thing. Just trying to recruit some people and get some interest going.
Yeah. Get in there, folks. Sign MSIGs and deploy a cannon.
Melt my nodes. Cash me outside.
Cash me outside. Bitcoin cash me outside.
Hey,
Jenna, it's your
open,
meeting, I
I'll do
think. Not that you'd know. Do you want to take it back over?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else on the agenda. If anyone has anything they want to put out into the world, you can say it now. It's a dangerous sentence to say in front of Douglas, but if anyone wants to say anything, the floor is yours.
It doesn't matter because I'll just say it anyway, so I don't need the invitation. So.
If no one has any.
Quick note, we're working on Telos staking in Tribe Wallet. There's a lot of changes coming down the pipe. And I had a question. I don't know if anybody noticed our bridge to Telos EVM on telos.net using Rubik swap. It's not. I have not found a single pair that is working. I don't know if it's a common knowledge or
on T-Swap.
Yeah.
I tried that last week as well, and same thing. It's basically useless.
Eugene, did you say Rubik?
Yeah, that's what
or
we
EVM?
have. It's a bridge to Telos EVM.
Yeah, there was an issue with Rubik. One of the other EVMs got hacked. I'm trying to remember which one was. It was like Near or something. But basically, all the USDC liquidity got taken away, and that caused issues on our side. They had to drop a number of EVMs because of lack of liquidity. They didn't lose the money. It's just locked on one of the other EVM chains. So that's probably flowed through to the Telos.net website. So we're going to be removing that because it's been unreliable, and just offering the Simplex widget as well on its own.
So if we are to implement swap in wallet from Telos to Telos EVM, what would be recommended approach?
Are you talking Telos native to Telos EVM?
Telos native to Telos EVM, yeah, because we support
that's a
both.
question.
Okay, we can take it offline.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all natively occurring. So I'm sure Jesse or one of the developers can fill you in on how to integrate that.
Okay.
Going from testnet, going from native to EVM, you simply send it to eosio.evm with the account, with the address, the EVM address that you want to send to in the memo.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it's super easy. If you just look,
easy.
and if you just look at if you just look at the the transactions on the chain, you'll see that's what everyone's doing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
So
that answers my question.
Wallet. You can just go to wallet.telos.net, log in with your native account. There's like a little icon that's like 3 arrows to the right on the EVM row, and on the native row, and send it to EVM. And it in the background is just gonna do what Douglas said.
Okay. Okay.
The UI does it for you. You paste in the Telos EVM address. The one thing with what Douglas described is that if that address has never been used in the EVM before, you have to call Open Wallet on it.
You got to flag that and create that address first.
Yeah, so the UI will check if that address exists, and then it'll put Open Wallet in before the transfer. So it's kind of all bundled and streamlined if you use the front end. If you don't, then you have to use Open Wallet. And I feel like the Open Wallet action, you need to remove the 0x. And
I think that's right.
When you do the memo, you have to include it.
Okay.
I would suggest just to use wallet.telos.net if you can.
But Eugene, you're talking about integrating that.
Because we're gonna integrate it in wallet, like in
like Kavici's wallet, right?
So it's gonna be natively supported internally. So,
then you want to go learn those actions and just test them on your own. Just go do it on testnet, same thing, and you'll see it. You also could go on testnet to wallet-dev.telos.net, do it on the UI, then go look at the Explorer to see the actions and extrapolate that back out.
Perfect.
If you have any questions, just ask Nathan Duff. He will walk you through all of that. Right? You're not going to have any problems doing it. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't recall the best way to send back, but you can get all that from him.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. It helps a lot. Thank you, guys. That's all.
Great. Glad you're integrating that. That's going to be cool. A great feature. Okay, I have another meeting then. If we're done, thanks everybody. Thanks Jenna for bringing this together.
Thanks Jenna.
Thanks
everyone.
Let's call it a meeting, and next one will be October 26th. I think is the date.
All right.
I'll set the calendar invite. Yeah, October 26th. Same time. See everybody in a month.
All right. Have a great month. Have a great
Thanks,
week.
guys.
Have a great
Take care.
day. Go Telos.
Good month.
Thanks, guys. Go Telos.
Yep. See you on Telegram.
Bye all. Cheers, guys.